Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second of Retro Wednesday. And today I'm going to do some homebrew games, especially one special game that really did totally blow the socks. And quite frankly, I'm quite surprised that they actually managed to get a Spectrum, a 48K Spectrum at that. No one to 8K, not a Pentacon, no a Sam Coupe, nothing like that, just a bog standard 48K to run this particular game. So I'm gonna be doing a few homebrew things and a few homebrewing versions of some actual, well, two um, home conversions of formerly converted ZX Spectrum games. One was a classic conversion, one was a pretty awful conversion, but those have been out for a while now. Just move that there. But yeah, and then I'm also going to have a look at the 16-bit version of Starglider because you mentioned remember last week, I actually did say it's my favourite all-time ZX Spectrum game, and it's um, I don't know, maybe the might did pick that up, I don't know, but yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, the 16-bit version of Stargirl. I'm also going to do a little bit on that as well, because I thought it might be nice to actually look into the 16-bit version, because I have actually started to got a joystick working properly on it, and I've had a quick play of it, so I'll also have a look at that as well and give some thoughts of regard to the 16-bit version compared to the 1 to 8K Spectrum 8-bit version. And I think you'll be quite surprised by my verdict of it, because I was. And so anyway, let's get back into some gaming action. Yes, as you can see, I've decided to start off with the 16-bit version of Starglider, and I thought I'd give this another go, and in the work I actually did a lot better than what I actually did in this little bit of a playthrough, but you're not really going to miss much, because there are actually quite a lot of differences between the 16-bit version and the 1 to 8K Spectrum version, and not in a good way either. That's not to say this isn't a good game, because obviously it's got a lot more frame rate to it, and there's a lot more enemies on screen at one time, but we'll just listen to this Amiga version of the music first, and then we'll cut straight to the gameplay, and I'll talk through certain things that I feel make the Spectrum version on the 1 to 8K at least much better than this Amiga version. Okay, and as you can see, we're then into the gameplay. Already you can tell that it runs a lot faster, obviously. This does actually make the game quite a bit harder, but at the same time, strangely more playable. Now then, let's talk about the differences between this version and the ZX Spectrum 128K version. Apart from obviously the different processor and the speed at which the game runs, etc. But it surprised me to find that this version does not appear to have the missions. So you don't get no super missile, and you don't get no review scanner, and you don't get any energy pod. And that seems to have actually taken away from the game quite a fair bit. And it's quite disappointing now. That's not to say that this isn't a bad game. It's actually very quite good and very playable, just very, very hard. And the enemies, straight off the bat, take a lot more hits. But the same rules apply. Once you hit 10,000, it will switch to level 2. And I did actually get to level 2 on a previous playthrough. I wish did actually record it, because I was actually trying to get good at the game, and it just so happened that that was the one time I actually got a good play in. But it's really strange, because the game just feels empty without those missions. And while I still enjoyed it, I think I'm still going to continue with the 128K version on the Spectrum, purely because of the fact those extra missions just add a little bit. Sometimes they help to break the repetitiveness of the game. And so basically, the ZX Spectrum 48K version is actually a more accurate conversion of the 16-bit machines, believe it or not. Yeah, so is it worth getting today on the 16-bit? Well, I suppose it is, but in all honesty, on the 16-bit, I'd rather be playing something like Elite or even the Star Wars arcade game. And even though the 128K version of all the 8-bits were basically a port of the 16-bit versions, yeah, for me, the Spectrum 128K version just beats it every time. So I'm going to leave you with this gameplay for now, and I'll come back for the next game.
Damage alert. Damage alert. Docking complete. Damage alert. Damage alert. Damage alert. Damage alert. Damage alert. Damage alert. Damage alert.
Okay, and now on to the Spectrum games. And we're going to start off with something as a classic for the wrong reasons. This is Kung Fu Master, released by US Gold. And it's a pretty poor conversion of the arcade game. And oh my god, just listen to this music. It's, oh dear god, what was they thinking? And Ocean, you programmed this. You programmed this game. Ocean, you were one of the better developers from back in the 8-bit years. I can only assume Ocean, US Gold did not pay Ocean a lot of money to do this because oh god, make the music stop, Jesus Christ. Yeah, this is not a very good version of the game at all. Now, I wasn't going to play this version of the game, but a homebrew version of this game actually came out in 2018, and this is just, and that is just how this game should have been done on the ZX Spectrum. This really is a poor game. The controls are absolutely terrible. The colour clash is unbelievably bad, and for those of you who don't know what colour clash, it was something that's a lot of Commodore owners used to bash the ZX Spectrum for because of the way it handled colours was not very good. But oh god, I have trouble describing this game because it really is quite. It's not the worst game on the ZX Spectrum by any means, but it really is appallingly bad. And as you can see, I am actually playing this on Spectaculator yet again. But there won't be a lot of gameplay for this because, quite frankly, after one game, the game literally is that bad. You have one go at it and you can just tell immediately just how bad a game it is. For martial arts experts, all the experts, the guys in this game really do look like they've got arthritis or something. It really is quite poorly. And the animation's quite bad. I mean, oh god, the music, in-game music as well. Oh god. Impressive that they actually got in-game music to work on the 48K spectrum. I mean, that's what I mean there by colour clash for those who don't know. The changing of the colour of the white guy whenever the guys get close. That is basically colour clash or attribute clash as it's properly known. Everyone just called it colour clash back in the day on the spectrum. And oh my god, the reactiveness of this game is absolutely awful as well. Using that sliding kick is probably the easiest way to actually defeat the enemies, but oh my god, this game is so bad. I mean, the screen's supposed to scroll, for crying out loud, and the spectrum can do scrolling. But no, they decided to do some peculiar flick screen type thing. I mean, the colour clash when it jumps up past those windows, that's laughable as well. So yeah, as you can probably guess, I'm not a big fan of this. And now, this is the homebrew version that some guys made. It is still a conversion of Kung Fu Master. But they called it Mr. Kung Fu, obviously, probably because they didn't want to risk getting into trouble with the developers of the original game, or whoever's holding the license for it at the moment. And this is infinitely better. This is so much palatable. I mean, look at that in comparison to the original. Oh, pardon me. I mean, it's still tough as nails. I mean, obviously, I mean, I'm not very good at games. This is something like a second playthrough. And the last time I played it was like months ago. I only played it then for a few minutes just to try it out. And but as you can see, everything runs a lot smoother. The screen actually scrolls. I mean, guys, this game comes to be I mean, this is some guy in his bedroom, and Ocean were big, huge developers. So, as I said, I can only assume that Ocean did not get paid that much money by US Gold for doing the Spectrum version of this. But yeah, now there is a much better version. This is it. The controls are immediately responsive. It would not let me use this Sinclair interface to redefine the keys though, which was a bit of a problem. Well, that was actually on the original Kung Fu Master. I think you can on this actually. Now I think about it, because ignore that. But yeah, as you can see, it plays smoothing. The colours aren't messing up all over the place. There's a lot more detail to the characters. The game is very responsive, and while I'm not a huge fan of this game anymore, I will say this is a very good conversion of the original Kung Fu Master. And if you like the original Kung Fu Master to this day and you want to try it on the Spectrum, this is the version to get. Ignore the US Gold one. Seriously, you'll playing that is time you'll never get back, to be honest, and you will hate yourself for doing it. But anyway, we'll just let this finish there, and shortly we move on to the next game. And the next game is actually again, I'm going to compare the official licensed version to a recently released homebrew version of it. And this was actually a really highly regarded conversion of R-Type on the ZX Spectrum on the 48K. And it's still a good conversion to this day. And this was jaw-dropping back in the day, because no one actually saw the Spectrum do anything like this up to this point, and yet do it so well. Again, there's no colour clash on this, despite the fact there's a lot of colours in it. And apparently, the way they've done that is that there's actually a bit of a border around everything. So there's a black border, so the colours don't overlap with each other, and it works really well, especially on this being a space game, because as the background's black, you're not really going to be able to tell those colour clash problems. Another game used a similar method, but it's a bit difficult to get them onto it, and that's Karnov, released also by Electric Dreams, I think, and that's a nice and colourful game as well, without any colour clash, by using the black border around characters. But it's a bit more obvious that that's what they did, purely because it's all the backgrounds are all nice and colourful too. But it's still worth checking that game out if you're interested in seeing ways in which people dealt with colour clash towards the end of the ZX Spectrum's life, maybe. And of course, since people have found better ways of actually doing it now in the homebrew scene, but nevertheless, this is still a very, very good conversion, and it's still highly regarded to this day. Now, apparently, there is some book of about the story of how this game was made on. I'm not sure if it is the ZX Spectrum or the Commodore 64. I think it was the ZX Spectrum, but I can't be 100% sure of that. And I really can't think of what the name of the book is, but it is a very interesting read. And again, I know it's not going to be colourful by today's standards, but for those of us who remember what the Spectrum was famous for, which is monochrome graphics, and anything with more than two colours suffered terrible colour clash, to see a game like this with this much colour in it, running this fast, on a 48K Spectrum of all things, is quite astonishing. I mean, I don't think anybody at this time thought this sort of thing was possible until this game was actually released. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some games with some very great high detail graphics, but this really, this probably is the must-have game, in all honesty, for the ZX Spectrum. It's one of my all-time favourite shooters. There are better versions of the game, don't get me wrong, but from a technical standpoint, this game is very impressive. And so we're going to let that carry on, and then we're going to move on to the homebrew version of this, which is essentially the same game engine, but it has got one minor difference, one major difference, and we'll get to that when that version of the game starts. So I'll come back soon, and I'll talk about the 128K version, 128K, the homebrew version of this, which is essentially exactly the same port, but with 128K features. So enjoy this gameplay, and I'll be back soon. as you can see there, I'm now just loading up this special homebrew version. As you can see, I really do wish they'd actually done this to work on the 128K Spectrum instead of one of those Russian clones, but nevertheless it still is technically a ZX Spectrum of sorts. And as you can see, it's actually got some 128K music now, which is basically what this game is. And of course, because it's loads in off a disc, it actually loads quite a lot quicker. But yeah, the game is fully 128K sound chipped, and so there's nothing really more to add to this. So enjoyed this homebrew version of it, which is very faithful to the original Spectrum version, and looks like somebody finally had the same thoughts as me and thought, why couldn't they have put 128K sound on this? I don't know, maybe on the normal 128K Spectrum and the processor might not have been fast enough, because I do believe in some of these Russian clones the processor was a little bit faster, and I have experienced 128K games in the past with in-game music actually slowing down the game, so maybe that's why. But anyway, I'll come back later for the next game. There are 2 proper homebrew games not actually released before, and yeah, the first one is actually quite astonishing, so we'll come back after you've checked out this R-Type on the, I believe I'm playing it on the 128K Pentagon Spectrum. But yeah, I'll see you a bit. Enjoy my god-awful gameplay, because yeah, I do know I suck at this game, so there's no need to tell me in the comments, guys. So I'll be back soon. Okay, and on to Valley of Rains. Now, this is a proper homebrew game, and God bless some of those Russians. They know how to program a Spectrum, and this game, quite literally, from a graphical point of view, at least, blew my socks off. This is again a full colour game, huge sprites. The game it runs so smooth for Spectrum, I could not believe it. And this is quite remnant of some games from the Spectrum's history, like Savage and Trantor. And they're not the deepest games, and this isn't really the deepest game, but it is. Still, to see a game with this much colour and detail in it is unbelievable. I know, I'm sorry, I got a bit of trapped wind. I'm trying my hardest not to belch into the microphone. And yeah, you can download a CD with this, by the way. And there is another YouTuber who does ZX Spectrum walkthroughs. He does a lot of homebrew games, and he's actually got a playthrough of this with the CD music. But as you can see, the amount of detail and colour in this game is unbelievable. It's scrolling super smooth, especially for Spectrum. And it's even got the parallax scrolling going on. And so this is definitely one in the eye for the Commodore owners who could say the Spectrum can't do smooth full colour graphics, because that's exactly what we got here, boys. And my god, is this impressive. The animation is unbelievably good for the Spectrum as well. I mean, it really is unbelievable. And if you look carefully when the woman runs past a tree or something like that, you can sometimes see the black border around it, because the graphics are all done out in 8x8 squares, and so all the graphics are deliberately coloured for that resolution, so to speak. And so everything in that main character, every part is like one. Why did I pause it there? Is one grid of 8, so every little section of that is just kept within the 8x8 grid, and the squares that aren't used, they're just coloured black, and that's how they're basically preventing the colour clash on this game. I think there is another method which someone discovered a couple of years ago, I think it was now, where you don't have to use that method, and it works really well. But I get the impression that the way that's done is also uses up a fair bit of the memory and the ZX Spectrum. So I don't know, maybe someone could correct me on that if they know what I'm talking about. But yeah, still, this is an amazing game for the ZX Spectrum. I mean, I really do feel back in the day that this could have been a crash smash. It really is incredible. I mean, you've got these boss fights as well. It's also quite reminiscent of Shadow of the Beast a little as well. I'm sure a lot of you will agree. And that weapon that she's got at the moment, that really does remind me of the fire torches in Ghosts and Goblins, which is a terrible weapon in that game. It's not the best weapon in this game as well. There's much better. No, this was my very first playthrough of this game as well. It's amazing how fast I've got the things moving on this. I mean, this is how you program a Spectrum. I mean, I remember back in the day, games like 3D Death Chase, which is still a remarkably good game to this day. I don't think anybody would have even dreamed that I could have got Spectrum running like this. And oh yeah, that's a dead end. This is actually now a boss fight, so to speak. And yeah, this was a pain in the backside, if I remember correctly. You gotta destroy that one bird, and then you gotta destroy that second bird. And repeat again, sorry about that, I knocked that microphone stand by accident. And again, you got a triple parallax effect going on here now by the looks of it. And again, this is not so. Can't recall a game where I've actually saw a Spectrum do that before. But yeah, very technically impressive from a programming standpoint, and the fact that they managed to get this game with all these little fun little features, and they've still actually managed to get a full game out of it, because you get a lot of tech demos that really show off what they can do on the Spectrum, but I've never seen any of these. I mean, whoever's programmed this has genuinely thought, right, we got this. Let's see if we can make a game out of this. I know, on to level 2 now. No, level 3 is actually a very interesting. Again, we got the 3-way parallax scrolling. But the level 3 is the one to really watch on this for graphical effects, because they've actually there's water in it, and I never noticed until I actually reviewed the footage before we started doing this voiceover. But they've actually got everything reflected in the water. Now, I've never ever seen that done before on the ZX Spectrum. I mean, you might have occasionally done something here and there just to give the sharp-eyed of us and go, oh look, that's reflected. But no, this game does it to a whole different level. And very impressive game. Not the most in-depth game, but it's good for a good blast. I believe on the playthrough I saw someone did of this where they actually completed it. It took them about 20 minutes, I think. But yeah, very impressive coded game. It's okay. It's not the best game in the world. Certainly not the worst. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10 if I was honest. But back in the day, yeah, this probably all by all, and quite rightly so, would have been something like a Crash Smash. It would have been a highly regarded game, I think. And so there's one more game after this, and then I think I'll go away and come back for that one. Here we are on the third level. As I mentioned, you look at that water. Everything has got a reflection in the water. And yeah, I can understand with the static things, but even the animated things have got shadows in the water, and that's actually pretty incredible. But anyway, I'm sorry, I'm just absolutely gobsmacked by the actual what they've actually put into this game. I'm sorry, but a Spectrum should not be able to do this. But yeah, these guys managed to do it. So anyway, we're going to go on to the next game now. This is another homebrew game, and if you want to know the software I got this game and the next game from, then I'll post the link in the description. But to be fair, a lot of the people who play ZX Spectrum games probably know about the previous game anyway. But yeah, this is Drift. I like my driving games. And so I thought I'd try this out after trying that first game, and I'm sorry to say this game isn't as good, but the intro is very impressive. I just thought that was a very good intro. By the way, this is a 1 to 8K only game. It does take a while to load off a tape. Thankfully I'm using an emulator again here, which really helps boost up the loading of the game. Now, this game could have actually have been very good, and judging by the things that go in it, there is actually a lot of impressive technical things in this, and it could actually be a good game. Unfortunately, I don't think the game actually plays very well, but as you'll see in a bit, once I get going, I had trouble trying to figuring out what the game was, start the game then. But anyway, the game starts. As you can see, they've actually tried to do something quite modern with it. Again, some nice parallax scrolling in the background. Look at that sea. Okay, I should point out this is my very first play of this game, and I didn't do very well. Again, I'll say the game doesn't seem to control very well, but to be honest, while I do like a racing game, I don't know, maybe I need a bit more practice with this, because the only game I'm very good at Paris sliding on is Outrun Coast to Coast, which is a remarkably good outrun game. But as you can see, there's only 2 colours in this game on the main section, and I'm already struggling, as you can see. I mean, I know you're supposed to drift in this game, but it comes a point when it's okay to put drift in the game, but when it gets to the point where it makes it nigh unplayable, yeah, it becomes a problem. But as I said, you know, maybe some practice I could get good at it. I do like a driving game, but while impressive technically for Spectrum, um, it's just not a game for me. If I'm perfectly honest. You know, B for effort, 5 for execution. I feel here.
5 seconds.
But I don't know. Try downloading it. Maybe you can like it. I've never saw anyone actually post this, any playthrough of this yet. So who knows? Maybe there's one out there and I just haven't found it yet. But you can get you. I mean, I did sort of get used to the controls after a bit. But whereas I like a game that you can actually drive like a Formula 1 race and that doesn't require you to do paraslides. This car just seems to slide where you're wanting to, basically. I don't know, maybe it's just not the game for me, but no, I couldn't get on with it. So I'll just leave you to laugh at my poor driving here. Oh my god, I did a lap. Ooh, I sort of go away with that one then. And yeah, I do realise I'm not using the brake a lot in this, but it really does. The brakes in this just slow you down just a tad too much to make it really worth playing in that way. The game really does encourage you to drift even when you don't want it to. And that was it. That was game over. That was Drift, a homebrew game, a racing game. Well, technically, impressively, I just couldn't get on with it. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you come back next time. Don't forget to click like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this. But until now, see ya.